Dear students, welcome to the 7th lecture on this topic, del operator and gradient. This is what we are going to learn on this course, Applied Electromagnetics. So, let us begin from where we left in the last class. We talked about two functions which vary as a function of one variable. Okay, two functions which vary with respect to one variable, and two functions are shown here, and one of them is a rapidly varying function, the other is the slow varying function. Okay, what does that mean? It means that when I change x by certain amount, how much the function is going to vary. That is what is known as the derivative. Okay, the derivative is nothing but how much change I can expect in the function when I incrementally change the value of x. Okay, and here in both these functions we can clearly see that the derivative is changing. Okay, depending on the point where you are taking the derivative, because it is not, the variation is not linear, rather it is changing in both the cases, so it is not constant. The derivatives are varying. Now, what is the geometrical interpretation for this derivative? The geometrical interpretation is the slope of this function. It is very simple. You have been learning it from high school, so this is very clear to you. Now, suppose if the function varies with three variables instead of only one variable, then we invoke what is known as the partial derivatives. This is also something that you are familiar from the last semester. Therefore, we need not deal much about it. So what it means, partial derivative means you are taking one variable, you are differentiating the function with respect to one variable, keeping the other two constant. Similarly, you keep taking the derivatives and then keep, and the total derivative you get it. Okay, so that is the partial derivative. Now, suppose the function varies. I would rather say that if the derivatives of this, the change, okay, which means how much this function varies. If this variation of this function is also dependent on the direction, to put it clearly, this is what I will say. If the variation of this function is also dependent on the direction, how do we go about it? Which means not merely the magnitude of variation, but also with respect to direction if it varies. Then how do we answer this question? We will come to that. But for answering this question, we will introduce the concept, what is known as the gradient of scalar function, and we are going to introduce you the del operator function also. Del operator, as you will see, is merely an instruction. It is an operator. It mimics a vector in every aspect, but it is not exactly a vector. I will deal with that and describe more in detail shortly. Okay, and finally in this class we are going to talk about a concept problem which will help us to understand this gradient of the scalar function in a much detailed manner. Rather, to emphasize, I will say the usefulness of this del operator. Okay, in operating a scalar function or a vector function. So these two things, and the final comment on this is, what are the possible operations of the del operator? Del operator can act on a scalar function merely just like a multiplication. Okay, it is not multiplication, rather I will say it is acting on a scalar function. Similarly, on a vector function, the del operator, you will see that I told you that it mimics vector in every possible way. Therefore, on a vector function, it can either operate through dot fashion or it can operate through cross fashion. So we are going to get either del t, where t is a scalar function, that will be the gradient, and the second one you are going to get del dot v, where v is a vector function, So it is operating in a dot fashion. Then we are going to get del cross B, which operates in a cross operation. Del dot B, del cross B. So del dot T, del dot B, del cross B, where V is the vector function, whereas on a scalar function it is merely del T. There is no dot or cross. On a scalar function you can't have, because del mimics the vector. So I can't just take a vector function, a vector operator, and then on a scalar function, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, on a scalar function, it merely del operates on a scalar function, resulting in a vector quantity, which is known as a gradient, and we will describe that. So as I told you, if the variation of the function also changes with the direction, then how do we answer? Okay, it is tempting that this question is very complex and we require n derivatives, because one can walk from one point to another point in space and in n number of ways. So therefore, if I walk along certain direction, I am going to get the variation in certain manner. If I walk in another direction, I am going to get another this variation. And n possible ways are there, n derivatives might be required. How am I going to solve this problem? So it appears this problem is merely complicated, but it is not so. Okay, so the appearance of this problem being complex will be shattered through invoking the theorem of partial derivatives as shown here. The theorem of partial derivatives tells us that, for example, I am talking about temperature T, which is a scalar function. T varies in space. As for example, I can write a scalar function as xy, T equal to xy, or xyz, or xy plus yz plus zx, anything. But remember, it is a scalar function, so I am not attributing any vector, unit vector direction. A scalar function has only a value associated with it. Therefore, temperature is a scalar function. It has only values associated with it, not a direction. Therefore, the change in temperature, if I have to see in space, it is enough to invoke three derivatives. That is what the partial derivative theorem says, not n derivatives as it appeared a while ago. Okay, so even though the function, the change in the how this function is varying, the variation in the function is going to be like with respect to direction. Even then, it is enough to get only three derivatives and we can solve this problem. So the appearance of the problem being complicated is shattered by invoking these partial derivatives. So dt, change in temperature, is given by dou T by dou x multiplied by dx, dou T by dou y multiplied by dy plus dou T by dou z multiplied by dz. So this is the total change in temperature. When I move along x, y, z direction, and when I move in this case, because I am talking about change in temperature, I am going to move incremental distance dx along x direction, dy along y direction, dz along k direction. What is the total change in temperature? It will be dt equal to dou T by dou x multiplied by dx, dou T by dou y multiplied by dy plus dou T by dou z multiplied by dz. Now, mathematically, I can rewrite this as follows. Okay, what I have done is, I have rewritten this by taking the dot product with a function dotted with this function you know already. This function is your infinitesimal displacement. So I am dotting the function, the partial derivative function, along the three directions, dotted with the infinitesimal displacement vector. I am going to get the total change in temperature. This can be further written as, so this expression over here is what I call it as del t, and where del is the del operator and t is the scalar function, which varies only with spatial coordinates. The t does not vary with the direction. So that is what I want you to be careful. T is a scalar function, whereas the change in temperature is varying with the direction. Okay, so merely the change in temperature varies with the direction, not T. Okay, I emphasize that point. So having said that, the first term in this bracket, okay, but that is dou T by dou x, Ax hat plus dou T by dou y, Ay hat plus dou T by dou z, Az hat. This first term is what is known as the del T, where and then dotted with the infinitesimal displacement vector. Therefore, I can write it this manner. Moment I write it, now I can further tell. So this function, what you see with highlighted, is what is known as del t, and del t is dou t by dou x, Ax hat plus dou t by dou y, Ay hat plus dou t by dou z, Az hat. What is this del t? Del t is a vector quantity which has now the operator, when it operates on a scalar function such as t, it results in a vector quantity. And what is this vector quantity called? It is called the gradient of the scalar function t. So when I take gradient of a scalar function, I am going to get a vector quantity. That is what it means. Now, the gradient is always taken on a scalar resulting on a vector. So this concept must be clear by now. And having said that, now look at this term, the other one, dx Ax hat plus dy Ay hat plus dz Az hat. What is this term? This term is the infinitesimal displacement vector, which you are aware because we talked about it in the previous class. Now, the del t, I can rewrite this term as, I am just basically what I have done is, the unit vector I brought it up front before dou by dou x. The reason why I brought all the unit vectors up front before taking the partial derivative with t is that if I write it in this fashion, we know the derivatives is going to be 0 because unit vectors are constant along xyz direction. Therefore, I cannot write it like that. So, for a change, I have written the unit vector first and then dou by dou x. Okay, so that is what it means. Now, if you remove t on both sides, the del operator is going to be Ax hat plus dou by dou x plus Ay hat dou by dou y plus Az hat dou by dou z. Now you see, I have a unit vector and I have, you see the term in the bracket. I have merely the partial derivative, but the function is missing if I take only del. Okay, so for example, let me put it this way. I am going to tell you that this term within this bracket and the corresponding term in the left hand side is this. So the t is gone. If only del and this function is there, how does it look? It looks Ax hat by dou by dou x plus Ay hat plus dou by dou y plus Az hat dou by dou z without any function on it. So this is what is known as an operator function. Such a function is known as operator function. It is merely an instruction, and if I attribute a scalar function, basically if I allow this operator function to act upon the scalar function, I am going to get the gradient function. The gradient has meaning, but this one within the red ink, marked red ink, is merely an instruction or an operator. It is waiting to act upon a function, that's all. And it mimics a vector in the sense that it has direction associated with it, but it is not a complete vector. This is what I meant, that it is an instruction, it is an operator, it is not a complete vector. Okay, a del is not complete vector, but it mimics a vector behavior because it can act on a vector function in dot product fashion It can also act on a vector function in cross product operation. Therefore, it mimics that way. Similarly, it also operates on a scalar function like a scalar function on with vector A, for example. So if a scalar function is, say for example, k is multiplied with vector function A, I am going to get k. Now, one difference is I can I can put the k after the vector function or before the vector function. What I am going to say is basically I am saying this. So I can put, for example, okay, so I can put like this. So this is my vector function A, and I can multiply with a scalar k like this. So k is a scalar function. This also can be written as, I can put the k up front and then, okay, so I can actually, okay, and then I'm going to put a function like this. However, I cannot do this with this gradient function. I cannot put t before del operator. So del can operate on a scalar function by only in this fashion, not t del. I cannot write like that. Okay, but whereas with a vector function I can write the scalar function either this way or that way. It doesn't matter. But with del t, I have to have the scalar function after the del operator. That is why I said del is an operator. Okay, that is another reason. Now, what does this gradient of a scalar function mean for us? This is the question that should haunt us now, and we will seek an answer for that. We know that del t is a vector quantity and it represents the gradient, which means being a vector quantity, it should have magnitude and direction. So immediately the question must come, what is this magnitude, what is this direction of this gradient of the scalar function? Okay, so that is the question. And another question that could come is, when does the gradient of a function vanish? This is another question. So we know that dt equal to del t dotted with a dl hat, which means I am taking del t itself is a vector, dl is another vector, and I can write it this way. dt can be written this way, like what we saw in the previous slide. Okay. Now dt is actually, when I expand it, I am going to get this definition. By definition of scalar product, it will be mod del t mod dl cosine of the angle theta between the two vectors. Now I wanted to think along this direction. When will the dt be maximum? When will the change in temperature be maximum? When cos theta is 1. Okay, when cos theta is 1, when cos theta is 1, actually we are going to have, okay, dt will be maximum. That's what. Okay, so if I put cos theta as any other number, okay, I am going, let us say cos theta is 0, I am going to get del t mod del t dl, and change in temperature will be merely mod del t mod dl. But if cos angle is there, okay, and we know that cosine of a angle, cos angle, actually cosine angle will be decreasing as an increased angle. What it means is, let us say I stand somewhere and I look around directions around me. The direction along which this function varies maximum. Okay, so that will be the direction of the gradient. Okay, theta is the angle between del t and dl. Now, del t, the direction, dt will be maximum only when the angle between the displacement vector and the gradient function is 0. In other words, del t should point in the direction of the maximum increase of the function. That is what it should be. So how do I digest this thought? So I can look around all directions. The direction where I look in such a manner that is my displacement direction. Okay, the direction of my movement. When I move along the direction when I move in certain direction where the dt will be maximum, that will be the direction of the gradient. So that is more important. Okay, so think along that stuff. Okay, so del t must point in the direction of the maximum increase of the function. And there is another analogy I can bring. We know the Elephant Hill behind our department ECE. Now the Elephant Hill, I can climb to the top of the hill in a number of ways. Okay, but if I hold a competition and if I want you to climb quickly, there will be a direction of steepest ascent. So that direction is not the direction of steepest ascent is the direction of where you will try to climb because you want to reach quickly. So that direction of steepest ascent in climbing a hill is going to be the direction of the gradient. So that is going to be merely a perpendicular from the ground. So if I climb perpendicular to the ground, merely steep climbing, I am going to. So if I can climb like this to the top of the hill, so I am going to have a different direction. Whereas if I climb along this direction to the top of the hill, I am going to climb quickly. Whereas if I climb some other direction or this way or this way or this way, I am going to lose the competition. So I must look around a direction where the steepest ascent of the function is there. Then that direction is the direction of the gradient. Now that is about the direction. So there is another thing that I wanted to tell about the direction. Now you can ask what is the direction of the steepest descent. That will be the negative gradient. So steepest ascent means maximum increase of the function. The direction in which there is a maximum increase of the function is the gradient of the function. Whereas the direction in which the descent, maximum steepest descent is there, that is the negative gradient. And another point is what is this magnitude? The magnitude will be mod del t, and mod del t is the slope along this maximum increase of the function. So derivative along the maximum increase of the function. That is the meaning of mod del t. When we do the problem, we will understand the direction and mod del t shortly. Okay, so that is about it. So gradient, if I were to say, first of all, you must remember three things. One is that it is a vector quantity, and the direction of the steepest ascent. Okay, steepest ascent is the direction of the gradient. Now, as far as the magnitude is concerned, it gives the slope along this maximum, along the direction of the maximum increase of the function. So these three things, gradient being a vector quantity, the magnitude and the direction. Okay, the context why we are studying this in relevance to electromagnetics is that we are going to come to terms with using the scalar function, which is a electrostatic potential. And if I take on the scalar function electrostatic potential, I operate the del operator on that scalar potential function, I am going to get del V. And you will see that the del V is nothing but the electric field. Of course, there is a minus sign associated. I will deal with that minus sign when we talk about the potential function. For now, you must understand that electric field, electrostatic field E is going to be nothing but minus del V, and where del V is the gradient of the scalar function, in this case electrostatic potential, which is del V. That is what it means. Okay, here is the concept problem that I was talking about right at the beginning. This concept problem will exemplify your doubts. Okay, so that is what the idea is for this concept problem. Please take down. The height of a certain hill in feet is given by height of xy equal to 10 into 2xy minus 3x square minus 4y square minus 18x plus 28y plus 12. This is height of a certain hill. It is, crystal clear. The height is only a scalar function. It has no direction. Okay, that is the clear thing. Now, what is y and x? Where y is the distance in miles. Okay, north, and x is pointing on the east of south hardly. So these are the two things. Having said this, where is the top of the hill located? This is the number one question. How high is the hill and how steep is the hill? Okay, how steep is the hill? These are the questions we are going to answer. Okay, in this case, how steep is the slope in feet per mile at a point 1 mile north and at a point 1 mile east of south hardly, and in what direction is the slope steepest? Okay, these are the three questions we need to answer. First question is, where is the top of the hill located? In such a question, what we must do is, first thing is, we have to be very clear in understanding what is given. If you understand that, half the problem is done. The only thing that is given is the height function, and it also defines what is x and y. Y is the distance up north, and x is the distance east of south hardly. So south hardly is at some point, east of south hardly is going to vary along positive x. Okay. So let me rewrite for the first question. What is the first question? Where is the top of the hill located? To understand this, let me rewrite the height function. 10 into 2xy minus 3x square minus 4y square minus 18x plus 28y plus 12. These are given height function. Now I want to, where is the top of the hill located? Where means you are talking about a location, where means coordinates. So I want to find x and y with respect to what is given. Okay. One thing I did not tell, when does the gradient function vanish? A gradient function vanish very similar to that of a normal ordinary differential calculus, when the functions that we encounter with ordinary differential calculus. When we calculate, for example, y is a function of x and the slope is dy by dx. We know that to find the maximum and minimum of the function, all we do is take the slope of this function and equate it to 0. Very similarly, and when does it happen? It happens when the function at some point, if the function is parallel to x-axis, then we are going to get actually 0. Slope is going to be 0. Alternatively, if I look at a valley and a top of a hill, in valley and top of a hill, in both these places, we are going to have the function. So let me see, this is my valley. So I am going to draw with the pen again here to tell you this. So I have a function which varies like this. Okay, so here. So this is my variation of this function. So there is a value here, there is the maximum of this function. At this point and at this point, the slope is going to be 0. So this is one thing that we are going to see. There is another thing that we will also come across. If the function has, for example, if the function has a shoulder like this. So if the function has some shoulder, then it is also going to have some kind of variation. Here also the slope is going to be 0 as here. So this point is what is known as the saddle point or the shoulder to this function. So at the shoulder or the king, the function is we can't differentiate this function at this king. Similarly, the slope is going to be 0 at the shoulder. So in all this thing, similarly I will have the, if I take the gradient of this function at the maximum value or at the minimum value of the function or at the shoulder, I am going to get the 0. So here the given function height of xy represents the height of the hill, and at the top of the hill the gradient is going to vanish, which means I am going to solve it. Now it is always useful in such problems to write these directions like what I have written here: north, south, east, south, east, south, west, north. Okay, clockwise, or east, west, south, north directions first. And then what I am going to do is I take the gradient of this scalar function. Moment I take the gradient of the scalar function, I am going to get this. What I will do is at the top of the hill del h vanishes, as I told you, the slope vanishes, which means del h vanishes. So I set it to 0. I will get what are the coordinates x and y. So I am going to get, remember, x and y are given in miles. So which means -2 represents positive direction of x is along east of south Hadley. So this will be -2 means 2 miles west of south Hadley, and y positive 3, which means 3 miles north and 2 miles west of south Hadley. This is where the top of the hill is located. Okay, so x -2 and y +3. So that is what is written: 3 miles north and 2 miles west of south Hadley. So this is the answer. Now, how high is the hill? So given function is this, height of xy. Now what I have found is, where is the top of the hill? Now with respect to ground, all I need to do is substitute this what I found in the previous problem, x equal to -2 and y equal to 3. We are going to get the height of this mountain. Because the height of the mountain, the hill is given in feet, the answer must be in feet, and the answer is going to be 720 feet. I hope this is clear. Substitution and all is something that you have been learning, so nothing to tell about it. This is the slope in feet per mile at a point 1 mile north and 1 mile east of south Hadley. The question is, how steep is the slope? As I told you, the direction of steepest ascent, okay, is the direction of the gradient. Okay, so the steep, how steep is the slope? So I take the del h and substitute for x equal to 1, because 1 mile east of south Hadley, which means it is positive, x equal to 1 and y equal to 1. In the del operator, I am going to get, moment I substitute, I am going to get the answer as del h equal to 220 into within 220 into minus ax hat plus ay hat. Okay, so this is the gradient of the scalar function height. Now the gradient itself is a vector, as we can see here. The question is, how steep is the slope? Which means here they are asking for magnitude of the slope. To take magnitude of a vector, you know that if I take the magnitude, I am going to get 220 square, square root of 220 square, within bracket start the bracket 1 plus 1. So it is a square root, which means I am going to get 220 into root 2. That is the answer for how steep is the slope in feet per mile. Now in what direction is the slope steepest at that point? Because the gradient is having a vector quantity, I can look at the term in the bracket, within the bracket, minus ax hat plus ay hat. moment I say that minus ax hat plus ay hat, how am I going to do that? So it tells me that there is along the negative direction and along negative direction means it is west of south hardly, and along ay direction positive means it is north. So the direction of this gradient function is northwest. I hope this question clearly tells you what is a del operator and the meaning of del operator when it operates on a scalar function giving rise to what is known as the gradient of the function, and the gradient is itself is a vector and it represents the direction of steepest ascent. It has a direction along the steepest ascent, and the slope along this steepest ascent is the magnitude of the gradient function. And we have understood these concepts through this problem. Now, how this del operator operates on a vector function in dot fashion and in cross fashion will be seen in the next class. Thank you so much.